one of these things that can catch them off guard, which they never have an answer for. Just so the listeners, you could maybe hold on to this with regards to Holy Spirit. So you can ask them, you can say, do you believe that God the Father is a spirit and a person? They'll say yes. You can say, do you think that angels are spirits and persons? They'll say yes. Do you think demons are spirits and persons? They'll say yes. You can say, do you believe that Jesus is a spirit and a person? Obviously, it's a bit different for them. They believe that Jesus is still a spirit. We believe that he's raised bodily. But you can just go with it for now. Just say, do you believe that Jesus is a spirit and a person? They'll say yes. Then you can say to them, yet you do not believe that the Holy Spirit of God is a spirit and a person. There's so much, it's just totally inconsistent.
Yes.
Yeah. That often causes them to think, I found, when you say that.
Right.
And you use that line of logic with them. And again, they are very logical people. They like that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. And of course, a lot of this, what we're talking about, can seem like it's all very abstract. And somebody might be thinking, what does it matter if you believe this and believe that? But of course, it does matter, because I really get the sense that what they're doing is kind of cutting up theology into these artificial, these contrived compartments. I believe this, but I don't believe that, and which of course is differing from Orthodox Christianity. I mean, Orthodox with a small O. But those have entailments, don't they? So they can end up then saying, well, but I'm not born again. And, yes, but Jesus' sacrifice doesn't cover me fully, and et cetera, and then find themselves in very deep theological problems, spiritual problems. So it isn't really just on the level of abstraction. These things do have very practical spiritual entailments for people.
Yeah. Something else I'd like to mention as well. It's worth taking it from a totally different angle. Is the fact that recently they've had a lot of changes, the Jehovah's Witnesses. A lot of people might not be so aware of this, but lots of little changes. I think what's happened is they're trying to update their image and move with the times, because I used to joke sometimes with ones that seemed like they'd be happy to have a bit of a joke, and a bit of humour in the conversation. Is in the past they've often looked to me with all the suits on and the way they've been dressed, like they've been stuck in some sort of 1950s time warp. I've often felt. Because when I first started talking to these guys, a lot of them had brown suits, certainly around my area. A lot of them had brown suits and greased back hair, and they really looked like they were actually from the 1950s.
Looking like Gilbert and George. Do you know the performance artists? Yes.
I used to think, gosh, these guys need to get up to date a bit, because if somebody comes to you with a suit on, it can be a bit intimidating, and people think, what are you trying to sell me? Are you a politician? That kind of thing. And people, it gets the backs up straight away. And I think the organisation have realised this over the years. But only recently have they just allowed male Jehovah's Witnesses they don't have to have ties on anymore when they go out on the ministry.
Standards. Wow.
Yeah, the men don't have to have ties.
Right.
And there was a beard ban as well. I mean, you and I were joking about our beards before we were talking properly. And for a long time, the Jehovah's Witnesses had a beard ban. It was a strange one, because it sort of differed from congregation to congregation and from country to country, region to region. I mean, some kingdom halls did allow the witnesses to have beards, but you could never really get people who were in like a position of standing, really, of authority to have a beard. They would allow it to some degree. Yeah, it's a strange one.
This is strange. Didn't Charles Taze Russell have a beard?
Yeah, that's it. The founder had a beard. He almost looked like Father Christmas, his big white beard. But then a lot of people think that historically what happened, Joseph Rutherford, the second president, came in, and he tried to create a lot of distance between himself and the founder. And he didn't like beards because they reminded him of Charles Taze Russell, the founder. And a lot of people think it was as simple as that.
So he had some new light.
Yeah.
He had some new light on that matter.
In Rutherford's book, he was so against beards that you would even see a crucified Jesus illustrated in his books without a beard.
Oh, wow.
And you would see him being baptized by a beardless John the Baptist, and a beardless Jesus would being baptized.
Oh, right. Gosh.
So since those days, they had this really strange beard issue going on. And it's only recently that they've dropped the ban on that completely. So now, funny enough, you're seeing a massive amount of Jehovah's Witnesses with beards. Even the leadership, the governing body, the main men at the top that run the organisation, some of them have grown beards, which looks so strange. So most people that watched
there's a release of pressure over the years. They're all wanting.
Now, I often think to myself, where's the divide? I was speaking to an ex-witness about this, an ex-witness friend. I was saying to him, it's interesting because the beards are reasonably neatly trimmed at the moment, but I am wondering how far can they go with this? Could you grow it like 2 inches, 3 inches? How long could you grow it before the elders came along and got their arm around you and said, now listen, brother, that beard's getting a bit too long. We need to trim it down a bit.
Maybe they could find some numbers in the Bible that might give them the inches.
I know. And also, the women were not allowed to wear trousers or slacks to our American viewers. Okay. And they are now allowed to wear trousers, slacks, the women, So, and also the witnesses who are out on their carts, they don't have to publish or disclose their hours, how many hours they've worked as well now, which they used to do. Okay. They used to have to put in a quota. They don't have to report them now. I think maybe the pioneers or special pioneers, which are like the full-timers, do still have to. I'm not sure on that. The point is, anyway, there's been a lot of changes. And I found it's a good way to approach the witnesses in like a friendly, light-hearted way, saying, I've noticed, because this is on their website, they've had announcements where they've had like the governing body members say that we now allow beards, we now allow sisters to wear trousers. So you can say, I was on jw.org and I noticed that, the governing body is saying that you're allowed trousers. I noticed you are wearing trousers now. I noticed you haven't got a tie on. I noticed you've got a beard. Interesting changes. A lot of people think that they're preparing the organisation for even bigger changes. There might be some doctrinal changes coming soon. Ooh. So, but what you can say is you can talk about the changes and then you could say something like, it's quite interesting that you guys used to, going back to the worship of Jesus, for example, again, used to worship Jesus before the 1950s and now you don't. What would you do if it was announced tomorrow that the organisation were now permitted to worship Jesus? Would you go with that or would you reject it?
Interesting.
So you could use that and you could say, how would you react?
Have you used it?
Yeah.
Have you said that to them?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
I haven't picked up I haven't picked up on any answers in the videos I've seen. So
No, they've not really had responses for it. But
makes them think.
I mean, another good thing you can use with regards to the changes is you'll probably be aware of this, Julian, yourself, but I'm not sure how many others may be. But with the group, the Worldwide Church of God, I sometimes use this as an opening for changes. The group, the Worldwide Church of God, better known as Armstrongism, which was started by a man called Herbert W. Armstrong.
Yes, I thought it was.
He actually believes a lot of similar things to the witnesses, mixed in with a bit of, say, Hebraic roots, British Israelism kind of doctrine,
British Israel. Yeah, I remember when I was in London, they used to stand around with the Plain Truth magazine.
That's it, the Plain Truth magazine.
I don't know whether they still do. No. I don't know whether that still exists, but
Well, the interesting thing with that is that whole organisation, I mean, they had a new leadership and he started to introduce changes. It's similar to what we're seeing with the Jehovah's Witnesses. Changes coming, and they're coming thick and fast as well, these changes. So they've only been like ones to do with like practical things at the moment and dress and grooming and things at the moment, but they are changes nonetheless. Which is significant for the witnesses because they're so set in ways.
Well, it's happened with the Mormons, hasn't it, to some extent as well? They've been trying at least to create a public image that is, we're just a denomination with other Christians. They've been less combative.
Exactly,
in that sense.
No, it's interesting. They're changing as well. And I think a lot of these groups feel like they need to change with the times, and that's what's happening with the witnesses. They need to get up to date, and they're desperately trying to do that, but they are losing a lot of members. Right. I think the internet has really killed it a lot because of the free flow of information. Most people these days, they will get on to the internet and think, I've just met Jehovah's Witnesses today, or they come to my door, I've met them in town. Let's Google Jehovah's Witnesses, bang, and all this stuff comes up and they go,
right, yeah.
All these false prophecies and, I think I'll give that a miss. Whereas in the past, people couldn't do that so much, could they? But almost everyone's got access to the internet now and a free flow of information. But with the Worldwide Church of God, the Plain Truth, they had these big changes introduced by one of the leaders that came. And it was slow changes at first, but then they eventually made massive changes and the whole thing just splintered now. And there's lots of like little groups that broke off. all claiming to be the true Armstrong group.
Right. That's interesting.
I don't think they're very big anymore because they've been so devastated by the splinter groups and people that broke away. But apparently they do still exist, the Worldwide Church of God. And they are just pretty much like a Christian organisation now. They believe in the deity of Christ, the person of the Holy Spirit, the Trinity, salvation by faith alone in Christ. All the key doctrines that Christians believe in, they now believe. So,
but it had to go through a very painful process by the sound of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of people are wondering.
Oh, no. It's happened again. Hopefully for the last time. Oh, dear. Hold on, it happened again. You got cut off. You said a lot of people are wondering, and I'm wondering what they were wondering.
Yeah, a lot of people are wondering whether the same thing's going to happen with the Watchtower organisation, Jehovah's Witnesses. These changes are coming, and they're sort of testing the water to see. The organisation testing to see how the rank and file witnesses will respond, and that they might start to introduce more significant doctrinal changes soon.
Fascinating.
And they'll see what happens. It could be that if they move too fast, they'll have a similar situation as to what happened with the Worldwide Church of God. There'll be splinter groups that'll break off. It's very interesting days, really. A lot of people are watching with great interest to see what will happen to them. Interesting days.
Really, quite exciting, actually. I haven't thought of that at all. I didn't realise that process was taking place. I didn't know about the beards and trousers. Well, there we are. Which, of course, is much more important. Anyway, I think perhaps we should draw to a close now, Vince, because we've been talking for quite a long time. It's been fascinating speaking to you again.
That's been really interesting. Thanks so much.
Yeah, great speaking to you again. And we've got on very well when we've spoken in the past, and I've missed you.
I'm speaking with you. Really.
Yeah, and it is good to talk about these sort of the technical bits and pieces in this very loose way. You know, it's a very unstructured sort of conversation. But I think we need to remind ourselves and listeners that the most important thing about today was the relational aspect to this, of the way in which you're actually getting alongside people, and all this information is good to have in the back of your head. But that's not fundamentally what it's about, is it? It is forming relationships with them. And if you're going to talk about having a relationship with Jesus Christ and you're not forming some kind of relationship with the person you're speaking to, then you're on to a loser straight away.
That's right.
Yeah, I think, you do model that for us. And I think that's great to have talked about it. And I do encourage people to go and listen to your YouTube channel, where you do have some of these conversations, don't you?
Yeah, interestingly, it's been a little while myself since I've spoken to them, so I need to pick it up again, actually.
Oh, right.
I think it's been a good few weeks, really. So, but I feel even just having this conversation with you, I'm thinking, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I need to get out there and go and find the Jehovah's Witnesses.
You do.
And that's the good thing. You can pretty much go to any town centre. I found particularly in the morning times, and you will find them there if you have a little walk around. So you can be prepared in advance. You could go and pray in the morning at home, read up on a little subject that you want to maybe raise with them. And as I said, even if it's just to give you testimony, as long as you treat them with Christian courtesy and respect and love, even that alone will just do so much, because that will just throw a spanner in the mechanism, so to speak, because they've been told to expect hostility from Christians.
Exactly.
But if you're showing them love and concern, they're going to be thinking, wow, these people, they're not what we've been told. But sadly, obviously, some Christians do treat them with hostility, which is such a shame. It just has a counteractive effect, really.
So, well, I would say, please do go and listen to those street conversations. You've got some of them up there on your YouTube channel. They're quite entertaining, actually, in their own way. I'm not trying to say that that's what it's for, but it's really interesting, and it is entertaining too, just to hear how people interact with you and you interact with them. So that's Chesno 1969 on YouTube, and we'll also just mention your Facebook pages again. That's the Spirit Entity Harassment Support Group, and Sharing Evangelistic Ideas to Reach People for Christ on Facebook, which both are ongoing. Well, thanks ever so much for joining us, Vince. It's been a delight to speak to you again. I hope to speak to you again in the future.
It's been a joy. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Julian. Bye-bye.
Show notes, as usual, can be found at themindrenewed.com. Podcast music by the brilliant Anthony Rajikoff, attribution non-commercial, share alike 4.0 international. You have been listening to me, Julian Charles, and my guest, Vince McCann, and I very much look forward to speaking to you again in the near future.